offer. Pontiac, designed for action.
There is little Buzeller Bowens cares more deeply about than her granddaughter's education. So when Freeman Hendrix led the takeover of the Detroit School Board, and Buzeller Bowens showed up to ask questions,
I gotta have them put out. Now!
Freeman Hendrix had her dragged from the room by police.
Now!
And now he wants us to vote for him?
Walt Disney comes out on top in the weekend box office. Chicken Little took the top spot with more than $40 million. The animated feature Chicken Little is about a fairy tale fowl who is known for the saying, "The sky is falling." Rounding out the top three, Jarhead in second place with nearly $29 million. And Saw 2 pulls in just over $17 million for third place.
The Carolina Panthers tackling PR problems, not with its players, but with two of its cheerleaders. A fight started because two cheerleaders were taking so long to come out of a bathroom stall. It happened at this Florida nightclub. Witnesses say one of the cheerleaders was, quote, belligerent drunk. She couldn't even stand on her own. One of the women was charged with battery, the other cheerleader in trouble for resisting arrest.
The Lions needed to win today to keep pace with the Bears at the top of the NFC North. Detroit couldn't afford a letdown against the Vikings, but that's exactly what they got, a letdown. Let's get to the Metrodome. Lions just turned the ball over for the second time in the second quarter, and once again the Vikings were about to take full advantage. Brad Johnson to the end zone when Nate Burleson was a picture of concentration. He makes the catch. Minnesota taking a 24-zip lead. The Lions got 7 back and got 7 more to start the fourth quarter. Joey Harrington to Marcus Pollard for the score. Detroit trailing by 10, and they could get no closer. 27-14 the final. Detroit now 3-5.
We made mistakes, put ourselves in a position where we had to fight out of a hole, and I'm proud of the guys for fighting. I mean, there wasn't one guy on that team who shut it down, but you know, when you keep having to fight uphill battles, it's tough.
Yes, it is. The Red Wings had dropped 2 straight, but they got back into the win column tonight in St. Louis. Thomas Holmstrom, all alone in the Blues zone. He cranks the puck past Blues goalie Patrick Lalime. That turned a 1-0 lead into a 2-0 cushion, and the Red Wings added to the barrage in the second period. Detroit all over Lalime. We'll have the full highlights from tonight's win coming up next on SportsWorks Sunday night, actually in a half hour.
Okay, we'll be right here. Thank you, Woody.
Sure.
Okay. In our nightcap now, some parents think getting their children to visit the dentist can be like, well, pulling teeth. But one Georgia doctor found a way to get around that problem. The dentist built this vintage carousel just outside his office a couple of years back, replacing the sounds of drills with thrills. The ride is such a huge success, the good doctor even invites his pint-sized patients and their parents for free carousel parties a couple of times a year.
That'd do it. Very good idea.
I like that.
A lot of space. You got to have a lot of space.
You said it.
Okay.
All right. Woody's got some big stuff coming up a little bit later tonight.
You know, we're talking about the Lions in today's disappointing loss against Minnesota. And we're also talking some Red Wings hockey, so it's a lot of fun.
We'll be here for that.
Wishful thinking there, Woody.
Well, yeah, a little bit.
And it was good to see Chris Edwards.
Oh, yeah, it was great to see him.
You got to love the guy and his wife, Chris, all the kids, and one big happy family.
Absolutely.
Stay tuned. Another one of our good friends, Huel Perkins, up next with a special Fox 2 presentation. It's a conversation with the candidates.
Mayor Kwame Kilpatrick and challenger Freeman Hendrix. Next. Have a good night.
GOC brought them back for your family. 2 quality eye exams, $59. A complete pair of sexy specs, $59. 59% off any frame or any lenses. GOC's anniversary sale ends next week.
I promise. The all-new Chevy Impala gets an estimated 31 highway miles per gallon.
Malibu LS with 32.
Cobalt LS, 34.
And a Aveo with 35.
I promise fuel economy is just as important to Chevy as it is to you.
Qualified GM employees can get a low-mileage lease on an 06 Malibu LS for $139 a month. Residency restrictions apply. Call for details.
That's the Chevy Total Value Promise.
Chevy drives the Motor City. See your Detroit area Chevy dealer today.
We deck the hall with Christmas. The rockets are all a-dancing. The choir is a-singing. The sleigh bells are a-ringing. Never was there ever such a Christmas show.
Kids, save $7.50 on all performances, courtesy of Fox 2 and 100.3 WNIC. Happy holidays from the Radio City Christmas Spectacular. Playing November 29th through December 24th at the Fox Theater. Get your tickets today.
For the first time ever, Wallside Windows announces no interest till 2008. Plus, if you call right now, your 6th Wallside window, any style, any size, is just $20 installed. With home heating costs soaring, take advantage of this great value. Insulate now and save on energy costs immediately. But you must call today. No interest till 2008. Ends Tuesday, November 8th. Wallside, 1-800-521-7800.
DOC brought them back for your family. 2 quality eye exams, $59. A complete pair of sexy specs, $59. 59% off any frame or any lenses. DOC's anniversary sale ends next week.
Kilpatrick, the city is undergoing some revolutionary changes, and I think the citizens of the city of Detroit see it, and they'll be okay.
Freeman, Hendrix.
I bring 25 years of experience operationally in the city government.
You've heard the jams.
I don't believe Mr. Hendrix is holier than thou.
The party needs to come down on this administration.
Tonight, we're going to peel it all away. The men who would be mayor get personal in my conversation with the candidates. Tonight, we're less than 48 hours away from Election Day 2005. There are several big issues and races on the ballot, but none more important than the race for mayor of Detroit. Even if you don't live in the city, what happens here and who runs it affects the entire metro region. Tonight, we re-examine the men who want to be Detroit's next mayor, who they are, where they stand on the issues most important to you. It's the storm cloud over Detroit that won't go away, the budget crisis. The incumbent says, don't worry, it's just a $100 million shortfall. But his opponent claims the city is about to go broke.
It's a very hard thing to talk about. And many union leaders obviously are very reticent about going to their members. But I move around and talk to the frontline workers. They know what time it is. They just want to see some fairness. They want to see a sharing of the pain in this crisis. And they don't want to feel like they're giving up everything while, administration is kind of living large.
My opponent has never dealt with the budget that I'm dealing with. I have a $177 million increase on pension costs, $120 million increase on health care costs, $130 million cut in revenue sharing from Lansing alone. And so when you add up that, not counting the federal dollars that we lost and the population dollars we've lost, we've been able to manage our way through it and deliver optimum service as best as we possibly can and still get better. And so I just ask Detroiters to not be scared of the fear tactic. We're not close to receivership. We're not going bankrupt. We do have a budget problem that we have to continue to manage.
Managing that crisis has forced the mayor to make cuts in the ranks of police and firefighters. But he says Detroiters are safer now than ever before.
I think first thing you have to tell voters the truth about what the situation is. But secondly, voters should know that there's more police officers in patrol on the streets now than there's been in 15 years in the city of Detroit. We have more patrol officers. Our police department is more heavily patrolled now. What we did is we shrank the administration, moved people from behind desks, and put them out in the field. People will start to see response time improve.
Put more police on the street. Improve bulk pickup so it doesn't hurt your budget, but you don't deny people the service. Those are the innovations and the creative operational expertise that I talk about when I say the next mayor needs to be an operations mayor who knows how to balance budgets and do these things that the citizens require of their leaders.
And then there's the issue of education. For the first time in 7 years, Detroiters will elect their own school board. The next mayor won't run the schools, but voters expect him to play a big role.
The number one thing I think we could do is take a kid out of Osborne or Southwestern or Renaissance or Cass or Finney or Denby, any school, and prepare them for the workforce. And so that's what I want to work on. I also want to work on the security issue. I've been championing this issue of having Warren Evans, our county sheriff, partner with the school district to provide on-the-ground police services for our schools. Parents have to know that the school building is safe, that the school zone is safe.
I'm suggesting to you the site-based management that puts parents, teachers, and principals, counselors, social workers in charge of making all of the decisions in that school, and then pushing towards a place where we start having smaller school buildings and smaller classrooms.
Yes, they're different, but this is what we know about the candidates. They are both smart, both are dedicated to family, and committed to building a greater Detroit. Now, for what you may not know. During my conversations with the candidates, I found out what made them the men they are today. We begin with the incumbent, Kwame Kilpatrick. He made history 4 years ago
as the youngest man ever elected mayor of the city. Tonight, he's in danger of making history again as the first Detroit mayor in 50 years to lose his job after only one term.
From the time that I can remember, I've been telling people that I was going to be mayor.
According to the best of my ability, so help me God.
I will. Congratulations.
By the age of 30, Kwame Kilpatrick won what he always wanted, the prodigal son returning to lead the city where he was born. His signature slogan back then was right here, right now. And for a while, he did get it right. Thousands of new homes are being built, dozens of small businesses and new restaurants have opened, and a massive makeover is underway along the riverfront. But those achievements have been undercut by controversy.
Can Detroit afford Kwame Kilpatrick?
As the city faces a huge deficit, he's been hounded by reports of overspending on his city-issued credit card and from the petty cash fund. He first denied, then admitted that the city leased a big red Navigator for his family. And the rumors of a wild party at the Manuvian mansion, although never proven, never went away. Are we responsible? Are you blaming the media for what?
Never have. I've never blamed the media, and I want to be clear on that. I think that I'm hard on myself, Hugh. I'm probably the worst Kwame Kilpatrick critic in America or in the world. You know, this job has been a tremendous maturation experience for me. I think we've done an incredible job of managing our budget, managing our cities. The hits that Kwame Kilpatrick get are not hits on the streets and the snow and the houses and the economic development. And the hits that I get usually are personal. And those things I can deal with. And I think people can see the growth and maturity from a 30-year-old guy running from this office to a 35-year-old man sitting here that understands the power and presence of this job and also how big the chair is.
He says now he's a changed man and hoping voters will give him another chance. Where he once embraced the nickname the hip-hop mayor, he now rejects it, just like that diamond earring he used to wear.
It really became clear to me that that's not who I was anymore. And I was tired of being defined and therefore confined by the fact that you had an earring in your ear.
Is it gone now, Fred?
I want people to see me and feel proud. I want people to see me and feel like that's our son that we raised. And if that one little insignificant thing is stopping that, then it's gone forever.
We can have 4 more years of broken promises, big talk, and little action, or we can get this great city moving forward again. What would you like?
In less than 21 months, Freeman Hendrix went from a relative unknown to the odds-on favorite to win the mayor's race. In a knockdown, drag-out primary, he became the leader of the pack.
You know, I have no problems with going toe-to-toe, and I don't mind getting my nose bloodied in a fight if I'm fighting on behalf of the citizens of Detroit.
He's no rookie. He spent 25 years in public service, eventually becoming deputy mayor under Dennis Archer. He made his mark in politics, but he made his money in the private sector. He was the highly paid CEO of a national consulting firm, buying high-priced condos in Florida and a now failing golf range in Michigan.
You know, not one investment that I've made has cost one police officer, one bus to be on the street, one job. As I say again, there's nothing inappropriate, no wrongdoing, nothing illegal. And if somebody says that there is, then, you know, bring the indictment. Go file the complaint with the regulators and do something about it. But they won't because there's nothing there.
And in a city where race is sometimes the big issue, Hendrix has a unique view. His late father, Emmanuel, was black, his mother, white. They met in Europe at the end of World War II, eventually moving to Inkster, where Freeman Hendrix was born, the third of 6 children. He says it was a wonderful childhood.
That's so extraordinary when I think about it today, and I look at the civil rights struggles and the film clips and the Ku Klux Klan, what was happening in the Deep South. But even here in Michigan, anywhere in America in the 1950s, for what my dad did, people were still being lynched, okay? And the fact that, you know, that their love and commitment for each other was so deep that for some reason that was not a factor or an issue.
Now he's hoping his son's legal problems won't be an issue either. 21-year-old Stephen Hendrix is set to stand trial in January on a misdemeanor charge of domestic violence and drunk driving. Hendrix says he will stand by his son, but he's also focused on standing up for Detroit.
I believe there's solutions, there are answers, that if we work together, we bring stakeholders together, If politicians would just become fearless about their own political careers and ambitions and put people first, I think there's so many things that we can accomplish.
You can bet the candidates won't be getting much sleep from here on out. The crucial final push is on.
We'll start a 24-hour campaign on Monday at 6 a.m. and we'll campaign right through to Tuesday at 6 a.m. Then I'll go take about a half-hour nap, a half-hour shower, and we'll get back out there on Tuesday and hit polls.
All aspects of the campaign are, moving the way we need it to. We're taking nothing for granted, and we're working as hard as we can.
And so what will each candidate have to do to win? Coming up, our panel of experts will dish out some advice and analysis of the big race.
Shh, hear that? Quietly, your home is losing precious heat from every window. Call WeatherGuard. Stop losing energy. Start saving money today.
Now, free windows at WeatherGuard. Buy one window, get one free, and we pay your sales tax. This is huge. For the first time ever, buy one window and get a second window absolutely free. It's a total factory blowout sale. Call WeatherGuard now. 1-800-377-8886.
WeatherGuard Windows, we protect your home.
Freeman Hendrix is the mayor of the city of Detroit. He provides the character, the integrity, the honesty, but he also brings experience.
He worked his way up through the ranks of city government.
He's honest, he's serious.
And if he says, I'm going to do this, I'll take care of it, you've always been able to trust his word.
Loves his family, a man who loves the Lord, and who's willing to give of himself.
He's the kind of person that we need as the mayor of the city of Detroit, someone we can be proud of.
Only one station's got it. Only one. Fox 2 Detroit is your home for Lions football. We got the players, we got the coach, and we got the game. Dan Miller and the SportsWorks team break it down. Pre-game, post-game, and all season long with Coach Steve Mariucci. SportsWorks exclusive.
Watch Detroit Lions football on Fox 2. Then stay tuned for Fox 2 Football Sunday to see who'll be this week's LaSalle Banks Player of the Game. Making more possible. LaSalle Bank.
Taking advantage of the Bernstein advantage has helped thousands of clients collect millions of dollars.
My family's life was changed forever by a doctor's mistake. We needed an advantage in fighting the insurance company. I called 1-800-CALL-SAM. The Bernstein advantage? Our family received a $2.8 million settlement.
Take advantage of the Bernstein advantage. Call 1-800-CALL-SAM.
You can talk to Sam. 1-800-CALL-SAM.
You've heard from the candidates. Now it's time to hear from our panel of experts. Please welcome Jack Lessenberry, columnist for the Metro Times and Fox 2 political analyst. Thanks for being here, Jack. Karen Dumas, host of Up Front, heard on 1200 AM WCHB every weekday. Thank you, Karen. Tatum Eason, political analyst, also talk show host. Tatum, thank you for being here. And Mildred Gaddis, host of Inside Detroit, heard weekday mornings on 1200 AM WCHB. Hi. All right, thank you very much for being here. Thank you all for being here. Now, I have seen two polls recently. One poll has Freeman Hendrix ahead of the incumbent by 10 points, but another poll that I heard late last night, taken 2 days ago, has both candidates tied neck and neck. Jack, what do you think?
I think that the second poll is sort of suspect. That may be a poll, a snapshot showing people who are going to vote on Tuesday. But a lot of people, you have to remember, have already voted. And indications are from the primaries and other things that Freeman Hendrix ought to have a wide preponderance of votes.
Karen, what about you?
Well, I think when the mayor first ran, polls have very little validity in who's going to determine who's going to win. If you remember, the mayor was behind the day of the election in the polls, so that doesn't mean a lot to me.
Tatum, what do you think?
I think that Mr. Hendrix is still ahead, but I think it's narrowing, and what we don't know is the effect of the ground campaign that the mayor's been able to put forward. That may be taking it down and making it closer. But I think Mr. Hendrix has run a strategically brilliant campaign, very surgical, and I think that he's still ahead by a small amount.
And we still have a lot of undecideds according to both polls.
Well, I don't believe they're the undecided. I believe that Freeman Hendrix is still ahead. He's ahead by double digits. I agree that the second poll is probably suspect. Remember, Huel, 66% of Detroit voters rejected Kwame Kilpatrick in the primary. Here you have an incumbent who came in second. That never should have happened. Kwame Kilpatrick is in serious trouble.
Now, you know that on the face of it, this campaign is civil, but you touch that surface and there's a lot of passion and emotion underneath. And we have an example of that. The Kilpatrick camp ran this latest ad. Let's take a look.
There is little Buceller Bowens cares more deeply about than her granddaughter's education. So when Freeman Hendrix led the takeover of the Detroit School Board, and Buceller Bowens showed up to ask questions,
I gotta have them put out. Now! Now!
Freeman Hendrix had her dragged from the room by police.
Now, for many Detroit voters, that touches a very deep nerve, Mildred. What did you think about that ad?
Well, Huel, that's the same ad Sharon McPhail used during the primary. Sharon McPhail came in 3rd place with that ad. That ad did not penetrate. That's a sign that Kwame Kilpatrick is in trouble. He doesn't have the money to produce his own ads. The research showed that that ad did not penetrate with voters. Kwame Kilpatrick is in trouble because the unemployment rate in the city of Detroit is triple the national average, 16%. Kwame Kilpatrick is in trouble because businesses don't trust him. They won't come to Detroit and do business with him. There are no jobs in the city. Just this morning, Kwame Kilpatrick said that people in Detroit, including seniors, needed to get accustomed to the idea that they don't deserve to have bulk trash picked up. Well, people in Southfield get it, people in Oak Park get it, and all across metropolitan Detroit. The man is in trouble because he has not managed the city effectively. This ad is not going to help him, nor will the others.
Karen, what do you think?
Well, I think the ad reflects the one thing that Freeman Hendrix regrettably can run on, and that's character, and that shows that he has a lack thereof. Mayor Kilpatrick is not in trouble. We've got more new economic development in the city in the past 30 years. We've got 23 new restaurants. Businesses don't invest in a sinking ship, and the mayor has had and taken the initiative to address unemployment, poverty from the structural component. He's not approaching it with a Band-Aid.
We're #1 in the city, in the country. This is the poorest country in the nation. Kwame Kilpatrick has driven this city into bankruptcy. You want to talk about character? Let's talk about the fact that he has at least 20 relatives that we've been able to document that are on the city's payroll. Let's not even, we don't have to go back to the Navigator when he took $25,000 of taxpayers' dollars and bought a vehicle for his wife. There are a numerous amount of character issues for him.
Well, let's talk about race here, because you have 2 African-American men running for the highest office in the city, and yet race is an underlying factor. And I do believe that there was a campaign ad in which you, Mildred, and you, Jack Lessenberry, were lumped in a group called Media Lynch Gangs. Jack, what did you think about that?
I thought it was a sort of absurd and I thought it was embarrassing for everybody in this community that somebody would do something that silly. And I think the Detroit voters are more sophisticated than that. You know, to put a picture of me next to a picture of a black woman from the South and couple that with lynching is I don't think that has a major impact. I really don't.
And he's been disingenuous. He's denied it. His guy, Adolph Mongo, marched into the Michigan Chronicle and delivered that ad. The mayor said that he had a problem with the photograph of the ad, but he had no problem with the content of the ad. Kwame Kilpatrick's fingerprints are all on it. This time, race is not going to matter. It's not going to win for him.
But if I can interject
it's a false card.
If I can interject something here. Really, these candidates are as well known as any candidates we've ever had for mayor. I really think there are no undecideds. What's going to happen, it's going to be decided by who gets their troops to the polls. If it's a pool of primary voters, if it's those set of people, Freeman Hendrix is going to get 54 or 55% of the vote on Tuesday. But we'll probably have a lot more people voting, and that's what's going to determine it.
But Tatum, you've worked on many campaigns over the years. Do you see this as a young versus old vote in the city of Detroit?
No, I think it boils down to, #1, there's a Jackie Curry factor. How those absentee ballots are going to be handled and what happens with them. I think we're going to be in for a very long night. It also depends on who has the best team of lawyers who will conduct the challenges. That's an issue. But the other thing is who's going to get their people out? Who are going to get the unlikely voters out and get them to the polls? Who's going to do the flushing and bring those people out? I think it will be determined on the election day who has the best team, the best plan, the best effort. That will determine this election, I really believe.
Well, much more to come here. We're going to discuss more about this upcoming race and what the candidates need to do in the closing hours to get the job done when we come back. Stay with us.
I promise.
I promise. The all-new Chevy Impala gets an estimated 31 highway miles per gallon and has more standard horsepower and interior room than Camry and Accord.
Chevy,
the #1 selling cars, trucks, and SUVs in America.
Qualified GM employees can get a low-mileage lease on an 06 Impala 1LT for $179 a month. Residency restrictions apply. Call for details.
That's the Chevy Total Value Promise.
Chevy drives the Motor City. See your Detroit area Chevy dealer today.
The all-new Ringling Brothers at Barnum and Bailey Circus. With just one look, you'll know it's still the greatest show on earth.
Fox 2 invites you to get tickets for $10 to the opening night performance Wednesday, November 9th at 7:30 p.m. Just visit the Pallas box office or a Ticketmaster location for this special offer. The 134th edition of Ringling Brothers and Barnum and Bailey. Playing at the Palace of Auburn Hills, November 9th through 13th. Get your tickets today.
Before you tie the knot, learn how to tie your finances together.
A Money Works quick tip from Fox 2's Murray Feldman.
First, reduce your new debt. Pay off the bills that have the highest balances and interest rates. Second, consolidate or transfer your debt to a lower rate and set a date to pay it off. And finally, decide who's going to pay the bills and set a budget.
For more money-saving tips, watch Money Works weekdays on Fox 2 News.
Call today and ask about the exclusive Smart 30 at 800-333-ROCK.
We're giving away the house. When the dust clears, you can win. It's the 800 Hanson's Home Makeover Sweepstakes. Call 800 Hanson's now. You need new windows? Win new windows. You need new siding? Win new siding. Need a new roof, gutter guards, or doors? You decide. You win. But you must call now. Come on, get in.
Come on, everybody, get it done. You know the one. Call 1-800-HANSON.
You can win.
Get it done.
We are back with our roundtable talking about the race for mayor. You have two smart, capable men running for the city's highest office. Both of them attended the funeral of Rosa Parks. The mayor, the incumbent, got a chance to speak. The challenger did not. How did both men come off, though, in light of that funeral? Even though it was a celebration and an honoring of a great civil rights legend, there was also meaning to what they did on that day.
I think Freeman came off as exploitative. One, he's not an elected official. He does not represent a corporation. He's not a member of clergy. He should not have been in the pulpit. Technically, he doesn't have a job. He should have been in line on 7 Mile waiting to get in like everybody else. That's my opinion. I also thought that him being outside and signing autographs was a blatant attempt to exploit this celebration of Mrs. Rosa Parks.
Huel, let me say that Bishop Charles Ellis invited Freeman Hendrix as well as Mayor Dennis Archer to the pulpit. President Clinton invited both of them to come and meet with him before the services. On the show the other day, a mother called and apologized to the people of Detroit. She said it was her 9-year-old son who had called out to Freeman Hendrix and asked Freeman if he would sign an autograph. She said that her son did not mean anything by it. It was a group of children, and Freeman Hendrix honored the request.
But how ironic that he would tell a young boy in a commercial that no, he couldn't be police chief. So, you know, Anita Baker was asked for an autograph at the funeral, and she said, no, this is not the appropriate time. So there's a degree of decorum and tact that was blatantly absent from Freeman Hendrix.
Well, you have some of the most famous preachers in the country, though, at that funeral, and some of them are now endorsing the incumbent, Kwame Kilpatrick. Jack, does that have any impact on this race at all?
It's really hard to say. I think that in a race where the two candidates are so well known, not very much. In a race, if a prominent pastor endorses a school board candidate in this race, it will have an enormous impact because we don't know who these people are. Anyone who hasn't made up their mind at this point about Freeman Hendrix and Kwame Kilpatrick must have been at the bottom of the Detroit salt mine for the last 2.5 years.
Well, you have Jesse Jackson, you have Al Sharpton endorsing Kwame Kilpatrick. Does it have any impact?
I don't believe it does. I think it gets back to who can win on the best ground program, the best plan for election day. I think it's down to that. Who has the best team, who has the best plan, who has the most money to spend on that day. And whoever can execute the best will win this election.
So in the closing hours, then, what should each candidate be doing to ensure victory?
Well, Kwame Kilpatrick and Jesse Jackson were out at the rhinoceros bar last night. I don't know how many votes they were able to pick up. I think it's become quite comical in the community for Al Sharpton and Jesse to be running around town with anybody. The question always is, how much should they charge this time around. Kwame Kilpatrick has driven this city into bankruptcy. People will reject him on Tuesday.
I thank you all for being here. Mildred Gaddis, Tatum Eason, Karen Dumas, Jack Lessenberry. We appreciate your expertise, and we will see what happens Tuesday night.
Yes, we will.
All right, thank you very much. Stay with us right now. Back in a moment with a final note.
Monday. What happens when you call 911 in Detroit? The answer is often nothing quickly.
I'm hearing that at any given moment the city is hundreds of runs in the hole.
It's true. We spotted these guys ripping off a house. It could easily be yours. So how long did it take cops to arrive? That's where our investigation begins. Fox 2 News, Monday at 10. Tomorrow, a Fox 2 exclusive. Steve Mariucci breaks down today's game. Hear it from the coach, live. And only on Fox 2 News Morning, tomorrow.
It is the 2006 Ford Escape, America's best-selling small SUV. It has great fuel economy, 6-disc in-dash CD, power moonroof, and a V6 engine, plus a 6-way power driver's seat and much more. It will be available for AZ Plan employees for just $221 a month with $21.16 due at signing. A 2006 Ford Escape for just $221 a month. Ford has 25 models that get 25 miles per gallon or better. See your Metro Detroit Ford dealer.
Many accidents happen because some landlords don't take care of their properties. Broken steps, missing handrails, poor maintenance. I've seen it all. If you were injured because a building wasn't properly maintained, call Leave Free at 1-800-LEAVE-FREE. You may have a right to collect money. Call 1-800-LEAVE-FREE. Lee Steinberg has collected millions of dollars for the injured, and he may be able to help you, too.
Choose the right attorney, just call Lee.
Tonight we've tried to give you a closer look at the mayoral candidates, who they are and what they believe. But the final decision is not ours, it's yours. And we hope tonight's conversation will help you make an informed choice in the voting booth. Your voice matters. Your vote counts. Never forget that you are far more powerful, more important than anyone you have heard here tonight. We work for you. Please vote on Tuesday and watch the returns right here on Fox 2. Have a great night.
Lions and Vikings plus the Wings and Blues will have a complete wrap tonight on SportsWorks.
Weather and traffic on the tube.
Fox 2 News Morning.
Definitely traffic and weather.
Ben is never wrong.
Jackie Page! What's going on the road? It's always on the tubes, right on the dot.
Harry Potter fans, find out how you can win tickets to a special screening of the new movie, The Goblet of Fire. And we'll break down the Lions-Vikings game on Mariucci Monday.
Need help? Get help. Visit our website at drugfree.org.
Les Stanford Chevrolet wants to drive home the message that kids whose parents talk to them about the dangers of drugs are only half as likely to use drugs.
Want to know some cool facts about the places and things around you? Like which bird is the only bird that can fly backwards or upside down? It's the hummingbird. Need a cold drink? Lucky for us, the refrigerator was invented in Detroit in 1914. One of the first malls in the country was Northland Center. What is 2 Aldi's Patty special sauce, lettuce, cheese, pickles, onions, and a sesame seed bun? It's the McDonald's Big Mac. Just thought you'd like to know.
Look for Just Thought You'd Like to Know during Fox 2 News Morning, brought to you by McDonald's. I'm loving it.
Make your vote count.
For election coverage that works for you.
Stay with Fox 2 News.
Tonight we pick up the pieces on SportsWorks Sunday night, and there are plenty of them after the Lions were shattered by the Vikings. We'll go to the Metrodome. There's a shakeup among the top college teams. We'll sort out the latest AP poll, plus Red Wings action in St. Louis, and NASCAR fun at the Dickies 500. The works is picking up speed right now. Good evening, all, and welcome to SportsWorks Sunday Night. I'm Woody Woodriffe, and tonight we'll have the fun from the PGA's Tour Championship, as well as some inspired highlights from Week 9 in the NFL. But we start with the Lions and today's collapse in the land of 10,000 lakes. And this week it was all laid out for Detroit and head coach Steve Mariucci. Vikings QB Dante Culpepper out of the lineup. Backup Brad Johnson in with a suspect Minnesota offensive attack. On paper, the Lions should have dominated. But like we've said so many times before, they don't play the games on paper. Let's get to Detroit's House of Horrors, affectionately known as the Metrodome. Pick up the action in the second quarter. Lions down 3-zip, and it got worse. Brad Johnson hooking up with Michael Bennett. He fights his way in for the score. That put Minnesota up 10-0. Joey Harrington got the start. He was running for his life all day. Pressured, lost the ball. Kevin Williams recovered for the Vikings. 3 plays later, it's the rookie, Theatric Faison, going outside and scoring easily. Just like that, the Vikings led 17-zip. Next possession for the Lions was also an ugly one. Joey Harrington trying to set up the screen. The pass tipped at the line, tipped by R2 Spinner, and intercepted by Antoine Winfield. Minnesota getting right back. They had 3rd and goal from the 15, but the Lions jumped offside. Johnson's free play into the end zone, tipped and caught by Nate Burleson. You got